because families are struggling at so many levels. They are struggling to pay the groceries, they are struggling to pay for mortgages, for rents, for petrol, everything's going up, and they are also struggling to pay for their childcare bills, which is why it is a real slap in the face to working families in Casey when the government continue to talk about the supposed savings that have happened under this government, when the reality is completely different. As the member for Moncrieff has so outlined in her motion, in the 3 years since the government was elected, the cost of childcare has increased by 22.3%. Now, since the government introduced their so-called cheaper childcare policy, out-of-pocket costs for families have skyrocketed by 12.7%. Almost 30% of childcare services are charging over the hourly rate cap under the current government. Under the previous government, it was at 21%. And one of the reasons for that is when you invest taxpayer money into subsidies without investing money into increasing the supply, you are going to drive prices up. Economics 101, which we know is not this government's or the Prime Minister's strong suit. More supply with the same amount of demand will bring prices down, but the government has not focused on increasing supply in childcare at all through this term of government. And I'm very lucky in my community to have a wonderful group called Mums of the Hills, led by Belinda Young, who does a lot of strong work advocating for many issues, particularly in the Dandenong Ranges and the Yarra Valley, including access to childcare. And last year I was able to take the member for Moncrieff, Angie Bell, the Shadow Minister for Childcare, to meet with Belinda and speak to mums that are impacted. And I want to share some of Belinda's analysis of the local childcare landscape and the childcare desert that we have that this government has not addressed in the last 3 years. So data from 2024 continues to show that parents in the Yarra Ranges struggle to secure spots for their children. The situation is particularly severe in some suburbs where ratios range from 10 to 50 plus children per place, making it nearly impossible for working families to access early childhood education and care. Now, many residents in my community have to travel outside of our community for work, and the average commuting distance is 28 kilometres, and this is significantly higher than the Victorian average of 16.7 kilometres. And so for these families, access to long daycare hours is essential to account for the commute time. And there's limited access to this long daycare. It's leaving families without adequate care for their children, leaving parents making difficult compromises between career advancement and the family obligations. Now, according to data from the Mitchell Institute, in Coldstream there has been an improvement locally in childcare availability. But even with that improvement, there are 9 children for every 1 long daycare place available. In Sylvan, in Monbulk, in Sassafras, in Wandon and Seville, the ratios are ranging from 10 to over 50 plus children per childcare place. In Ferny Creek, there are between 3 to 7 children per childcare place and between 7 to 8 children per long daycare place. And in Olinda, there are between 2 to 5 children per place and 8 to 30 per long daycare. But we haven't seen any focus on increasing places from this government. 2.5 years, 3 years in, prices are up over 22.3% under the Albanese Labor government. Imagine the damage they will do to childcare in another 3 years if they get into government.
Authorised by Aaron Violi, Liberal Party, Lilydale.